It's Reverend Will, the senior minister at First Christian Church here in Fulton, Missouri, coming to you live with this week's devotion. Every week about this time, we stop what we're doing and I offer you a word of grace. This week, we're focusing on Paul's letter to First Corinthians. In the 12th chapter, he wrote to that church, "The members of the body that seem to be weaker are indispensable, and those members of the body we think are less honorable we clothe with greater honor, and our less respectable members are treated with greater respect." The summer between my senior year of college and when I went off to seminary to pastor school, my mom set me up with a job to be a summer custodian at the elementary school that she worked at. I worked from 6 a.m. to 2:30 p.m., and that sounded just fine for this early riser, and a little bit of manual labor never scared me. It ended up being a pretty boring job where I spent most of the time cleaning out rooms by removing desks, chairs, tables, and then washing the floors and then waxing the floors. It was monotonous work in an unair-conditioned building that often left my shirt more than a little damp at the end of the day. We did most of what we could to avoid the heat with those hours that we worked, though. What helped me get through the day was the people with which I worked, and one man in particular. His name was Chewy, though that probably wasn't his real name. He was one of the regular custodians at the school during the school year. Somewhere north of 60 years old, or life had been so hard on him to make him seem like that. He was Hispanic in a largely Hispanic town, majority Hispanic town. There's a meat packing plant there. He spoke little English, too. I never asked his immigration status. It wasn't the proper thing to do. By all accounts, he wasn't educated or wealthy or anything else that would make him seem from the outside like an important person. And yet he was. He was important to me. He was important because of the kindness he showed me. Once he found out that I loved tamales, he made his wife make me a dozen chorizo tamales. I'm still mad at my brother for eating some of them. He was important because of the levity he brought to our monotonous job. The halls of the school reverberated with his laughter and those that worked alongside him. He was important because of the work he got done. I was constantly trying to keep up with this beer belly of a man. He was because he cared. My mom told me that even years later, he would often ask how I was doing, just because he wanted to know. He didn't have to do these things, but he did. He welcomed me, he cared for me, he shepherded me, he loved me. This is the way of the cross in action. This is what it looks like to share Jesus' love with people. Chewy was a practicing Christian. He told me when he found out I was going to pastor school after the summer. So when Paul talks about how we in the church are supposed to value and honor and lift up the weaker, less honorable, and less respectable people among us, it's not something abstract. It's not just something that's nice to think about, something to do. It's serving and loving and helping and voting for their benefit. We don't see them as liabilities or eccentricities or bothers or weights. We see them as integral parts of the system of which God calls us to be a part. We take their well-being seriously and take steps to make it so. Chewy lived this out when he welcomed a new and inexperienced guy into his school with open arms, giving respect and love and honor first. At first blush, I assumed he would have been in the category of least, last, lost, and little because of his age or his job or his education or whatever. But as it turned out, it was me, weaker, less honorable, less respectable. And that didn't stop him from showing me grace. Indeed, he knew I was the one who needed it most. Thanks for joining me for this week's devotion. I hope you heard that word of grace. Please like and share this with someone who you think needs to hear it. And you're invited to join us for worship on Sunday morning. We gather in person at 10:30 or online here. But if not, our benediction is the same as always. God be with you till we meet again.